Yeah, I
I'm
think
serious
around
about that.
June 8 or so, it could get active.
Yeah. Hopefully, now that I'm off school, I can actually chase more. That's what I'm excited for. I'm getting my permit soon, and yee way excited. So
Come to you, then you can go after them
yeah, exactly.
in that driver's license.
Yep.
Okay, so we're
All
just
right.
now
Well.
starting.
All right.
All right. Yep.
So
So it's you just began it.
yeah, I just did. So Reed, how did you get into weather at first?
Well, I always have been into the sciences, and when I was really little, I collected insects, actually for about 10 years until about the age of 17, 18. I collected a Eastern Hercules beetle and then realized that it was probably time to focus on my true passion, which was weather. And I actually had a tornado warning incident when I was about 5 years old. My dad was taking my sisters and I to go catch minnows up in Michigan. And I remember the tornado sirens going off, pulling us in the wagon, just barely walking. My mom was freaking out in the neighborhood. Everybody was in a state of panic. And my dad says that there was actually a funnel just to our north, a funnel cloud that touched down to a tornado. I don't remember that, but I think I just remember the panic and mass chaos in the neighborhood. And that kind of led to intense curiosity for storms. And I used to be scared to death of thunder and lightning when I was really little, but then just got obsessed with weather and storms ever since. Maybe from about the age of 7 or so, I couldn't stop thinking about storms. When a new storm would come to our location, I'd be following the Weather Channel nonstop. I was into snowstorms, severe weather, tornadoes of all kinds. And I was in Science Olympiad too back in the day. So I did all the biology events. I also did the Earth Sciences events as well, Bottle Rocket. So I was always into the sciences. And it was just a natural fit to move to Oklahoma to chase storms, to study meteorology. And ever since I got my driver's license, I realized that I didn't have to wait for the storms to come to me anymore, but I could drive after them. And I've been chasing storms ever since. And I've seen over 700 tornadoes now.
That's honestly really cool.
Wow, 700 tornadoes.
What's that?
700 tornadoes is a lot. I haven't seen one.
Yeah, Gizmo's seen a couple hundred actually. She's
Yeah.
That dog's gonna remain the dog that's seen the most tornadoes for hundreds of years, if not ever.
Yeah.
She's still working hard at it. She's going to be coming out next week again too to add to her total. But yeah, she's my she's the love of my life. This dog right here, Gizmo. She's chased down hurricanes too. She was in Category 5 Hurricane Michael in the Dominator 4. And she saw a little tornado west of Lubbock a couple of weeks ago, and that maintained her streak of 8 years in a row because she was hanging out with my mom a lot this spring, eating treats and living the good life over there. But she's back on the road storm chasing, and hopefully we'll see many more tornadoes. She's actually 12 years old now, Gizmo is, so she's there. But the oldest Yorkie ever lived to be 27 years old, so we plan record.
Yeah. Oh,
Nice.
Awesome. So I have a next question for me is that we know that this year so far in terms of like it's been a decent year for getting structure and stuff, but the tornado activity is again been very kind of limited, in terms of big outbreaks and stuff. What is your kind of bit of advice for chasers that are out there that kind of struggling to see the tornadoes that are kind of just getting like there's a bunch of disregard or in trouble? What would your be a words of advice or whatever you would say to them to help them keep going?
Well, even though this year has been relatively quiet in terms of the nationwide numbers, there has still been a lot of great storm chases and a lot of tornadoes to be seen, and even a lot of damaging tornadoes as well, that it's important to have storm chasers on to provide that ground truth and to provide warning in the path of these storms. I know in the Mid-South, we had a couple of high risks out there and a lot of severe damage. Those storm chases were a little bit difficult. They were moving really fast. Fast-moving storms. The prefrontal troughs were dominating, so it made sense to kind of head south during those mid-south chases. But then we had quite a few in Texas during April, especially late April. We had the Lockett, Texas Day. We had the EF3 tornado there to the south of Kroll, to the north of Benjamin, where we got the data. But then I kind of hit a slump, and then I've been missing a lot of the tornadoes the last couple of weeks. And I think I just needed to eat more fiber and eat a lot of food, kind of more recharged now again. And I think you really need to have that grit to finish the chase all the way through like 11 p.m. or midnight, chase everything you can until the day is over. And once you get a little bit tired, then I think that you kind of lose that tenacity and grit to kind of finish the chase and to finish the season. So I think the advice that I would provide is to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables when you're out there storm chasing, but also don't get too focused on just seeing tornadoes, because there's incredible structure to be seen out there, mesocyclones, and we just saw Michael Binsky and Brent Wright just yesterday or the day before seeing those 4 hail shafts right in a row, providing that incredible structure. And you always see crazy things of nature out there when you're storm chasing, whether it be snakes on the side of the road or flipping rocks with Mike Scantlin and seeing a milk snake out there, or seeing a big super or large hail. Even in the most quiet of seasons like 2006, 2012, those types of seasons, you still see incredible tornadoes. You just got to keep going out there and appreciate nature and appreciate the storms and just keep dominating.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Else want to go?
I'm just hoping that mid-June's active, because I can't chase for until I get this stupid cast off.
Yeah.
Oh, right. You still have the leg cast. I can see.
Yeah.
It's crazy that you're already getting it off. Time flies.
I know. It seems like I've just been sitting here for like a week, and boom, now it's getting taken off.
So yeah, another question that I have. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're lagging a little.
Yeah, I've got some internet. Are you going to be able to walk? Right, issues here in the apartment sometimes, but it should pop back on. Is it on now?
I believe so. Yes.
Yes, it's back. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're back. All right, good. So, another question that I have is that, what has been your kind of like favorite? And I just like, and let's get rid of tornadoes for a second. What has probably been like one of your best years, just in general, for chasing? I mean, either for storm structure or like how much you went out. I mean, like, what was your favorite year for all the time you've been chasing? Because I know it's been a lot of years, but you've got a lot of good storms and stuff. I'm just very curious. What was probably your favorite year for being out and chasing?
Well, I've had quite a few favorite years, honestly. I would say that the first big year was 2003, and obviously we had May 3rd, 99. My first season, 98, 99, saw tornadoes then as well. The October 4, 98 outbreak in Oklahoma was my first outbreak that I chased. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I just knew that the tornado was on the south side of the storm. And I saw 2 tornadoes right next to each other from Perry, Oklahoma, looking off to the east. And then that spring, we ended up underneath the overpass chasing the F5 on May 3rd, 99, which was definitely an intense experience. But when I truly felt it in control of the storm chase, where I really knew what I was doing, I would say by October 9, 2001. That was that big outbreak in western Oklahoma when we saw a bunch of tornadoes. I was with Joel on that day, and we saw a house that was destroyed, but thankfully they were on vacation. And there was a sheriff that emerged from the rubble there. He was a big guy. We couldn't see. There was no police vehicle to be seen anywhere in sight. And he came out and he's like, "Why you guys be chasing shit like this?" And I think he just emerged from the rubble, or maybe his vehicle was sucked up by the tornado. But just to avoid getting arrested, we resumed the chase. And actually, I ran about 10 years later at a gas station, and he had watched Storm Chasers and remembered the whole entire incident, the whole entire tornado intercept. And he's from western Oklahoma, out there near Elk City. But that was a pretty crazy experience there, that outbreak in 2001. But then after that, 2003 was a crazy year. That was a El Nino year, and the Southern Plains were incredibly active. There was a high risk in the Texas Panhandle on May 15, 2003. There was a big event on March 28. That was 2007. But on was really active. May 3rd, May 4, 2003 was a big-time outbreak with the this tornado and the Baxter Springs event. And on that day, on May 3rd, the day before the big outbreak, May 3rd, 2003, Joel and I were down near Haskell, Texas, and we were going on the back roads, mud roads, and Joel slid through a corner and went through a barbed wire fence and off to the left a little bit, and we didn't see it at the time. But Gene Moore actually came up, and that was the first time I had met Gene Moore, and he pulled up with this massive chain and attached it on the back of my truck, pulled it up, and it snapped the axle front.
Ooh.
So I actually had to, we got underneath the car and just connected the ball joint with the front axle, and I have no idea what I'm doing mechanically with vehicles. Drove to a gas station for wire to try to wrap it around the axle and the ball joint. And so I went to the station, and the only wire that they had was a fly swatter handle. A fly in Haskell. And I was underneath the car wrapping the wire around the ball joint, and I started smelling this chewing tobacco smell. And I looked, laying in a huge pile of old chewing tobacco that somebody had spit out in the parking lot.
Oh, that's unlucky.
Wrapped around the ball joint, and it was barely secure. And we had to drive at about 30 miles an hour from Haskell, Texas, all the way back to Norman, Oklahoma, which is normally a 4-hour drive. And close to 8 hours. And Norman, we got pulled over 3 times for going too slow, and we told the police officer that we just had a bad ball joint with the front axle. But I finally got back to my place in Norman, Oklahoma, and the sun had already risen. It was morning, and then we had another high risk, the May 4, 2003 event into southwestern Missouri with a bunch of tornadoes, and every single storm you're on that day was producing a tornado, a fast-moving.
Yeah, I remember that day.
And the year kept going with May 15, 2003 in the Texas Panhandle. There's another event on May 22nd that then it kind of died down a little bit, but then picked back up in the Northern Plains in the second half of June. And we saw Manchester tornado, June 24, 2003, which was a crazy event that kind of set up my whole entire career as a storm chaser, because we were selling DVDs from that event, and it was definitely the most beautiful wedge tornado up close. It was very sad that it caused a lot of that damage in Manchester, and kind of a turning point of my friendship too with Alex Fierro, who was in the car that day, who was a little bit upset that we were that close to the Manchester tornado. But 2003 was insane, start to finish. Some Northern Plains. Then 2004 was incredibly active. That was a record-breaking year, 2004, especially the second toward the end of May into June. But I missed tornadoes. But saw a lot. The Mulvane, Kansas tornado in 2004. 2005 was also a good year. 2006 was an off year. 2006 is the worst year ever for storm chasing. Hardly even a single tornado that year, but the fall was really active in 2006. So even if you missed all the tornadoes, the couple of tornadoes that were there in 2006, and the fall season was very active. But 2007 is one to remember. I think that was probably one of our best years storm chasing.
Yeah.
Active Tornado Alley. Then we saw our first Canadian tornado up there with the Pipestone, June 23rd, 2007. And then I've kind of had a string of some decent years, 2013, 14, 15, and then 16 was a crazy year.
Yeah.
Very similar to those 2003 and 2007 years.
Mm-hmm.
So did May 3rd, 1999 change your perspective on tornadoes, like seeing the damage?
It definitely did. So I wasn't as aware, or at least, with the dark side that the tornadoes leave behind until May 3rd, 99. And after that overpass incident, we came to Moore, Oklahoma, and just saw total destruction. People were emerging from their homes. There were horses just wandering on the highway. And that was the first time that we saw the dark side that the storms leave behind. And it was just terrible. It almost made you feel guilty for being excited for seeing the tornado in the first place. And but it was also incredibly motivating to keep calling in those reports and warning people in the path of the storms, and also doing science to try to better understand them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't know how much you'll be able to disclose of this, but we know recently that they've been talking with Flex Seal, which this is going to be the greatest, probably biggest deal ever. It's going to be great to see it. But is there anything that you can leak us of what could potentially be coming with that potential branding with Flex Seal?
Yeah, I just talked to them yesterday, and they are awesome. It went a lot better than I ever could have thought it would go, and they want to support our science and try to figure out a way to waterproof everything. And they want to cover the whole entire Dominator 4 with Flex Seal liquid. Massive
Oh my god.
4 wheels. And we want to test to see how that will handle hail as well, to see if the hail will just bounce off the Flex Seal or if it'll provide a protection as well. We're thinking about waterproofing the whole thing, even the windows, and then just adding a hatch where I can enter the vehicle from the roof.
Upgrades, people, upgrades.
Yeah, but they're awesome. They have all kinds of products: Flex Tape Liquid, Flex Paste. I could use kind of a little deal to kind of parts waterproof it in time for hurricanes. But they also talked to Mark about waterproofing his sensors, the rocket sensors that we launch into tornado components, and the Dominator weather stations too, providing some waterproofing with that. So really, we're just going to Flex Seal our entire lives.
Listen, that's a good thing. You can't get wrong with that. So that's glad that's going to be happening, because I was waiting for that to happen personally, because I mean Flex Seal, literally like the commercials are about thunderstorms or whatever. So I'm like, this just has to happen eventually, and I'm glad it is, because this could be a big step up for not only for Reed Timmer and everyone else, but for the Chaser community as a whole, because this could, in terms of let's say cycloport stations, stuff like that for Radar Omega, this could be a very big thing that's happening, and this could be pretty big for the Chaser community in terms of saving things. Just glad that this is happening, because this is very much needed for the community.
Yeah, it'd be awesome, and Flex Seal could be used for by all chasers too, and science projects of all chasers as well. So, yeah, I agree. This is good for the chaser community. It's good that we're on the radar of Flex Seal.
Yep.
Oh, you cut out. He's just frozen on one frame. Yeah, if you can hear us, you're completely frozen.
Maybe try leaving and rejoining.
Yeah, I think that might work.
Yeah.
Oh. Did his camera go?
Yeah, his camera turned off. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Oh, there he is. Okay, he's back. There we go.
Oh, we can't hear your audio. Okay, there we go. I heard something.
You can't.
There you go. There he's back.
There we go.
Oh,
We got it.
He's back. There we go. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
good.
I'm
All right.
back.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. So you
Am I
guys have any
back?
questions, you guys can.
Yes.
Yes, you are back.
Yep. We're golden.
Good news.
All
I
right.
mean, doesn't it say on your bio that you're in Golden, Colorado?
Yes, I'm in Golden, Colorado. I have an apartment here. I lived in Norman, Oklahoma for almost 20 years. And I just kind of go wherever the seasonal cycle sends me. So my mom and sisters live out in South Carolina, so I stayed there into the early spring to be able to work the Mid-South. And then I head toward Norman, and I stayed there and then worked the Tornado Alley area. And then I come up to Golden, Colorado, where I have an apartment here where I can catch the Dakotas within 6 hours. I can get to Kansas really easily, the Colorado, eastern Wyoming, and Montana. And eventually we're going to be to the Canadian prairies as well, as long as the border opens up at the end of June. Right now it looks like the border might open late June, in which case I'll be storm chasing up in Canada. But if the border doesn't open, then I'll just be just a little bit to the south. Did I freeze again?
Yes.
You did for a little bit, but we could still hear what you were saying. Your camera is frozen though.
Okay. Let me step outside again here.
Nah, there you go. Okay, there you go. All right.
That works. There we go.
Yeah, it's back.
Okay. But yeah, I also like to stay up here in Colorado to ride my mountain bike during the summer.
Mhm.
And also chase the high plains, eastern Colorado, eastern Wyoming, Montana, eventually up toward the Canadian prairies. So it is the perfect home base this time of year.
Yeah. I've always wanted to live in. I like chasing. Everything about Colorado, I love. I just love the scenery there, chasing there, because like chasing Colorado is just different. I mean, like with the high elevation stuff. Colorado. I wish at least I have like a home or like for a period of my life live in Colorado because it's just a beautiful place. I mean, it's just beautiful, So, but and that I've had family that have lived in Colorado before too. So.
Yeah, the weather's crazy out here. You get the first couple of years that I moved here were crazy high plains days. There were a lot of tornadoes in eastern Colorado and eastern Wyoming as well. And you can see really far. The mountains are beautiful. But every area has its own unique beauty, whether it's Tornado Alley or the Midwest or the Mid-South or the North Great Lakes. Everywhere is beautiful in its own way. But I just like to experience spring in every single region if I can.
Now, did your house get hit in Norman by a tornado?
That's right. Yeah, my house was hit in 2015, and that was the May 6th tornado. It was an EF2 there in Norman, and I actually was on a different storm. So I was up near Fairview, Oklahoma, and I was working for Channel 4 at the time, providing live updates for Mike Morgan and Channel 4. And I ended up near Fairview on a different storm that was also producing some tornadoes up there, but unfortunately missed the EF2 that hit my house. And Gizmo was actually inside at the time of that tornado. So she was in the house, and the Dominator 1 was parked in the driveway. So those two got an intercept while we were on a storm a little bit further north, closer to Enid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is interesting.
Gizmo was okay, I guess, at the time, but
and then the very next day, on May 6th, the very next day, or on May 7th, a storm came in with baseball-sized hailstones coming in horizontally and blew all the windows out on the front of the house. So it was actually a 2-day event. The first day we had the tornado direct hit, and there were people taking shelter in my neighborhood. My roof was damaged, trees ripped out of the ground in my yard. And then the next day was even more damaging with the hailstorm coming in with the horizontal baseballs. And on that day, we actually intercepted a multiple vortex wedge tornado in North Texas, near Denton, or Crum, Texas, kind of in that area. And but same day, that big hail producer came into Norman. It reminded me a lot of this year's hailstorm that came into Norman when we were all chasing the outflow boundary down in Northwest Texas. Then a big hail producing storm came into Norman and blew all the windshields and windows out of a lot of vehicles in Norman and a lot of storefronts as well on the north side. So it was a crazy hailstorm that reminded me a lot of that one from 2015.
Yeah. Wow.
You've gone through a lot of windshields, I bet.
Yeah, I've gone through about 4 windshields this year alone so far. And probably will blow out a few more in the high plains.
There we go. Yeah.
Nice.
Didn't the Moore, Oklahoma EF5 of 2013 miss your house by like barely like a mile or two?
Yeah, that EF5 missed my house by about 1.5 miles just to the northwest. And that's another tornado that I missed. So Channel 4 and Mike Morgan wanted us to shoot helicopter shots on I-35 with the Dominators. And so we were at home waiting, watching the storm develop to the west, and he got really upset with us. It was like, why are you guys still at home? And road, and he wanted to shoot helicopter shots of the Dominator. And so that caused us to miss the EF5 tornado that hit Moore in 2013. And we ended up on a storm just to the south of that. Devastating tornado. Lots of
just stay at home.
Loss of life and property from that one. But that 2 weeks of insanity during May were nuts. We had the May 19 event there in 2013. We had the El Reno tornado. We had the Bennington tornado there as well. The Cora, Kansas tornado in late May on May 28th. And had the 8-year anniversary of the El Reno tornado from May 31st.
You were on that storm, right? The El Reno tornado storm.
Yes, he was.
Yep. The El Reno tornado, just on the west side of it, and you could see all the massive subvortices wrapping around each other. And just on the west side of the tornado, we ran into some power lines, and it got wrapped around our light bar. And we put the car in reverse, and it tightened up the power lines around the light bar. There were sparks flying and everything.
I remember, yeah.
And it was like a slingshot, and it launched the hood like a frisbee. We just saw the hood take off like a frisbee going off into the distance. Thought it was the tornado that ripped the hood off for a second, but it did get lofted by the tornado, and we never found the hood again, and had to finish that chase with just a wide open engine. But it solved our overheating problem with the Dominator 2.
All right. So the next
Parker, you're cutting out.
question
Parker, you'd cut out.
Frame by
he's cutting out. His camera's going really slow.
So
Parker, just
what?
technical difficulties. Please stand by. Parker, just leave and rejoin. Just do that real quick.
That's funny.
And now he's completely frozen. There we go.
Yeah, it's a slow decline.
Yeah, it's just internet problems and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened to him. I'll DM him on Twitter real quick.
I just did.
Oh, he turned his camera off. Parker, if you can hear us, you're completely frozen. Yeah, your camera's not turning on either.
So Reed,
Yeah.
The Bennington tornado.
Yeah.
You know, you launched your probe into it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was destroyed, right?
That's right. And we actually never found the probe. So the Bennington, Kansas tornado, I think, still to this day, one of the strongest tornadoes that I've ever chased. By far, I definitely think it was an EF5 tornado. It felt more powerful than even the tornadoes in the days after that and the days before. And that tornado actually was nearly stationary and did a figure 8 configuration in its path. So it was at a very difficult to predict path as well. And we were standing up on the ridge watching that tornado form. And we deployed our probe on the barbed wire fence there. And it included a camera too. It was one of those lipstick cameras. We also had an instrument probe on there. We had one of those pet collar trackers, one of the pet trackers that you attach to the collar that are able to send GPS. This was a long time ago, so we've come a long ways technologically since then. But we deployed that on the fence, and then I got the bright idea to run with our air cannon a little bit west. I wanted to run about a quarter mile to get to the northerly inflow into the Bennington tornado, and I ended up run a lot further. We ended up running about a half mile, and then finally launched the air cannon. And our camera guy, me and Sean, were there in the path of the tornado that was drifting toward us. And I could see the edge of the tornado. The easterly winds ramped up to about 80, 90 miles an hour. And we started to run back to the Dominators because I told Connor to pick me up. I told him we were going to run to the west, a quarter mile, launch the air cannon. And if you can pick me up, then we'll go back to the west of the tornado. And Connor never came. He never came to pick me up. So we had to run the half mile, basically in the northern part of the tornado, to get all the way back to where the Dominators were. Then we got in the vehicle and then blasted west and then barely made it out of there. But the tornado came in and then ripped the barbed wire fence out of the ground. There were cattle that were lofted and piled up into the middle of the vortex into a massive pile of cattle. And we were never able to find the probe or get a GPS signal. And we suspect that the probe was probably buried inside of that pile of cattle that was right in the middle of the stationary tornado.
Okay, Parker.
Okay, so sorry, I finished everything. So my question for you, Reed, is that you're out chasing, maybe let's say like a successful chase, caught 6 or 7 tornadoes from Alpha Cyclic Supercell. What is your go-to place to eat afterwards after you've had a great day in chasing?
Well, Applebee's is definitely my go-to place to eat after chasing. Not necessarily because of how much I love the food, but more the atmosphere, the ambiance in there. You around, blinking lights all over the place. It's one of the only places that are open to at about 11 p.m. at night after a storm chase, where you can actually sit down and get some food. I love the tortilla soup, and their fajitas are okay. But I think it's more for the atmosphere there in Applebee's. So that's obviously a go-to place. It's very dependable after the chase. But I do have my individual local places that I like to eat too, from the Mid-South all the way up here. There's a place called Champs in Ruston that I like to go to in Louisiana that has some awesome po' boys and some catfish po' boys up there. Good Cajun food. I have my places in Norman that I like to eat. The Mont, Pepe Delgado's there in downtown Norman. I was continuously enrolled at OU for 17 years, so I was able to sample a lot of the local cuisine there at that time. So I was definitely went to school for a long time there at University of Oklahoma. But I also love Deadwood, the area up there in western South Dakota on the Black Hills, because usually when you're chasing in eastern Wyoming or into South Dakota, that's a good place to stop off. And there's a lot of fun things to do in Deadwood and a lot of great places to see around there in the Black Hills. So I love those locations. But yeah, I love fast food as well. I like bean burritos. I eat a lot of bean burritos out there because that provides me with the fiber that I need to make it through the chase.
Yeah. Infamous bean burrito meme, but yeah, that was I remember that day. But anyways, any other questions you guys have for the man?
I don't have any specific questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
What was the first hurricane that you chased?
There we go. The first hurricane that I chased was Hurricane Floyd in 1999. And I was a sophomore at the University of Oklahoma. And after the May 3rd, 1999 tornado, Lisa Gibbons, talk show, called my dorm room right after that tornado event and had us come out to Los Angeles. And that was the first time I had traveled out there. And they gave me a couple $100 for the video. So I was all excited about that because I realized I didn't have to work at the golf course anymore, mowing. But then Lisa Gibbons called, asked if we would chase this hurricane, and she paid for our flights out there. But one thing we realized when we got out to Charlotte, North Carolina, my roommate and I went out there with Lisa Gibbons paying for the flight, was that we were too young to rent a car. So we landed on the ground in Charlotte, and we couldn't rent a car to get out to Wilmington to intercept Hurricane Floyd that looked like it was going to be a major hurricane, like a Category 4 when it came in there near Cape Fear and also threatened Florida. So we took a taxi from Charlotte all the way to Wilmington, North Carolina. We went to a hotel that everybody was evacuating to, and there named Ernest that had evacuated his mobile home near Cape Fear, and he was checking into a hotel, checking his family in there to ride out the hurricane. And we asked him if we could, he actually asked us if we wanted to ride out the hurricane at his place and watch over it, make sure that it didn't get too damaged. And so he drove us out to the end of Cape Fear in a mandatory evacuated area in a mobile home. And we rode out Hurricane Floyd in a mobile home with no cell phone to Wilmington. And it was just my roommate, Rick, and I, mobile home with the windows getting blown out. It was surrounded by floodwaters. We put mattresses up on the windows to make sure that the walls didn't cave in. And then the next morning, Ernest didn't come back for a while, so we were worried we were going to be trapped down there at his mobile home park with all the flooding and everything down there. But then he showed up. That picked us up and was able to get us out of there. But we were trapped in North Carolina due to the flooding, so I ended up having a bunch of classes. I missed a bunch of exams my sophomore year. But that was my first hurricane experience, Hurricane Floyd.
It was worth it.
Yeah, it was definitely worth it. It was a crazy experience out there, and it made me realize that chasing hurricanes is more of a prolonged survival experience than tornadoes. You know, tornadoes are kind of a faster paced, kind of a more of a skilled. Hurricanes, you're out there trapped in survival mode, often for many.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions? I mean, Dallas. Yep.
I'm trying to think of one right now.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll go. So Reed, we know you like absolutely destroy your car. I mean, who would, especially to hail. If the what is your like recommended? I don't know. I'm trying to word this correctly. What's like your recommended place to go to maybe like repair a windshield or something if you're out in the plains or like in Tornado Alley?
Well, I have a couple different locations where I go to replace windshields. I go to Binswanger Glass a lot of times in Norman, Oklahoma. That's where I went for years up there. I go to Platte River Glass in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, if I'm up in the high plains area there of eastern Wyoming into the Nebraska Panhandle. And also a location down in Big Spring, down there, West Texas Glass, out there in Big Spring. I get windshields down there, and I'm in the southern high plains. So I just have a couple different locations that I go to get windshields. Cost about $300 to get. And then the video that of the windshield actually blowing out, you can sell for about $300. So it kind of turns out to be more of a break-even experience. I've never made an insurance claim though in my entire life, so I hope to keep it that way.
Yep. Yep. There's Gizmo intercepting the sun rays right there. Good stuff. Beautiful.
So, you intercepted Hurricane Laura last year, right?
That's right. Yeah, category Laura there in Lake Charles.
That was an amazing hurricane, actually. It gutted a building in front of you, if I can remember correctly.
Yeah, there was a lot of damage to that building. The eye wall came in, and it was very destructive. We saw the sheet metal flying, glass flying everywhere. And we actually deployed the Windy Palms project along the coastline and measured a wind gust over 140 miles an hour. By that was Mike Tice's device, the Windy Palms project, where we mounted on a palm tree, and then the palm tree is able to withstand the winds inside of a hurricane because they have some natural flex built in there. So that was definitely a hurricane. But that began a string of hurricanes that impacted southern Louisiana, just one after another on that day.
Yeah.
And if I'm correct, you chased Hurricane Delta down in Cancun.
That's right.
That's right. One sec here.
You're fine.
You're all good, man.
I completely forgot that happened. I remember that was funny.
There we go.
So yeah, we also chased Hurricane Delta as well. That was the double intercept where we went down to Cancun and intercepted that hurricane in the Yucatan Peninsula. And then we had to drive the rental car all the way over to Merida on the other side of the Yucatan Peninsula to catch a flight back to Dallas. And then we were able to drive east, intercept the double intercept that day in southern Louisiana. So that was an intense intercept. And we actually had to use the rental car in the Yucatan to ram trees. So we were ramming through these down trees to try to get the coastline to be able to intercept that hurricane. But then with the insurance down there, and there are some smaller companies that will run Hertz rental cars and to work that out and negotiate a settlement. But I did destroy the front end of that car trying to ram a tree.
How much did they charge you for the extra damage?
They ended up charging me about $4,000 for everything.
That's not terrible. I mean, it is bad, but it's not like the worst that could be.
Yeah, it could get worse. It can get worse, definitely. It wasn't good, but it could get worse. Worse.
Yep. There's Gizmo.
There's Gizmo.
Do some Twitter questions.
We're about to take a walk.
This question is from It's Little Robs. His question is, do you ever plan to restore Dominator 1 and 2?
I do, and I was just talking about that this morning with the original builders of the Dominator 1 and 2. And this winter, this off season, I do plan to rebuild the Dominators and get those back out in the field again. And we also discussed with Flex Seal maybe even the building of a new vehicle, another Dominator, kind of with a Flex Seal theme out there. So we've got a lot in the works, and I definitely want to get Dominator 1 and 2 back out in the field chasing storms again. And it'd definitely be my dream to have all 3 Dominators out there intercepting and deploying hardware and doing science.
And this question's from Lauren, the Storm Chaser. How many cars have you gone through while chasing?
I've probably gone through about a dozen cars. So I've driven kind of a lot of beater vehicles. Like I had the 1985 Plymouth Reliant when I first started storm chasing. Then I had a Chevy Lumina that was held together by duct tape in 2004. In between those 2 cars, I had a Mercury Topaz. I also had a Ford Tempo there for a while, which are just tanks of a vehicle that can handle anything, just indestructible vehicles. And then the Dominator, of course, and I've got Dominator 4 now. And then countless rental cars, too. I've gone through dozens and dozens of rental cars.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did you pitch Storm Chasers to the executives at Discovery?
Well, Storm Chasers was already happening, actually. So, we were selling footage to the Storm Chaser show already and licensing footage. And Sean Casey was still on the show for a couple of seasons, but they had a lot of difficulty seeing tornadoes. So they would license footage from us and then put his voice over it for those first couple of seasons. And then Lisa Block, who was the executive producer of Storm Chasers, called us and asked if we wanted to be a part of it. And then the rest was history. And that made it possible for us to build the Dominator storm chasing vehicles, to do our science as well out there, to launch sensors into tornadoes. We were working with drones and the RC aircraft with a 15-foot wingspan that was dropping parachute probes out of the base of it. So really the rest was history since then. That was about 2008 was our first season with Storm Chasers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Awesome.
Anyone else have a question?
What is your favorite vehicle that you've ever had?
Oh, yes.
My favorite vehicle is the Dominator 1. Definitely my favorite vehicle because that's the only Dominator that's actually been directly inside the middle of a tornado. And we measured a 100-mile-per-hour wind inside that rope tornado there in eastern Wyoming near LaGrange. And we measured 38.8-mile-per-hour wind there in Aurora, Nebraska as well. So those are our 2 strongest wind speeds that we measured inside of tornadoes. And so Dominator 1 definitely is one of my favorite vehicles. It feels like an old pair of jeans when you hop into it again. But also the Dominator 4, honestly, the current version of the Dominator is one of my favorites, just because of what it's been through. The hailstorms, the Category 5 hurricane, all the different storms we've chased over the last 3 years or so. But I also miss my first vehicle, the 1985 Plymouth Reliant. Basically just a box with wheels going down the road, but I always missed that one. Another one I had was a Mercury Topaz that the shocks were broken, so you'd go over a bump and it would just rock like a teeter-totter. So you'd go over just a little bump and it would start bottoming out when you're going down going down to the road. So that was also one of my favorite vehicles.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
That's wow.
Anyone else?
I'm asking my friends right now and see if they have any.
What's the biggest hail you've ever intercepted?
Oh, yes.
6 inches in diameter near Piedmont, Oklahoma in 2012. And I think that one dropped the state record hailstone in Oklahoma. That was the biggest individual stones. I think that we intercepted a 6-incher on May 7th, 2002 in southwest Kansas there in Ford County as well. That was the first time that I had ever seen softball-sized hailstones.
6 inches?
That is a big hailstone. Jeez.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen softball-sized hail?
I've seen softball-sized hail maybe a dozen times, so it's pretty hard to get true softball-sized hailstones. Baseball-sized hailstones happen a lot, but I consider baseball and larger gorilla hail, and just really destructive hailstones. If you get a lot of golf balls that are coming in and they blow all your windows out, and that can also be classified as guerrilla hailstones. But it seems like intercepting massive hail is even more difficult than intercepting tornadoes. You have to storm perfectly. It's a lot of times along a narrow track or a narrow swath of hail in there, and so it is difficult to really get true softball-sized hailstones. And when they do happen, a lot of times they're pretty sporadic. Just a big stone here. Usually when you get the really large hailstones like that, 4 or 5 inches in diameter, you don't get a ton of them that are falling out of the core.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. I've never seen softball hail. I've seen golf balls, but that's pretty much the largest I've ever seen. I've asked my dad, "Hey, are you okay with hail?" And he's like, "No." But then as soon as I say, "Wait a minute, we can't go that way because of hail," he says, "Oh, let's go." What do you want?
Yeah.
Like hail just because of the damage that it leaves to their vehicles and whatnot. But I love the damage that it leaves behind. I love the hail dents. I love the massive ice chunks coming out of the sky. It definitely shows you the true power of these supercell storms.
Yeah.
So really very large hail like that is incredible to. You guys still there?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yep,
you cut out for just 1 second there. All right. A question from Mitch on Twitter. What is the event that you've regretted chasing?
I've never had a regret of storm chasing. I'm always happy every time I go out there. I'm usually a little disappointed if I do bust, just like anything, but you're still happy that you chased, and at least then you know what as hard as you can.
This comes from Brody Weather. Is Reed ever going to chase monsoon season down in the Southwest?
I am, and I did chase it 3 years ago. The last time I chased the monsoon was 2018, and teamed up with David Rankin up there in Big Water, Utah, and saw a bunch of debris plugs up there, Page, Big Water, in southern Utah. That's basically like the tornado alley of flash floods and debris flows in the southwestern U.S., and also intercepted a haboob on that trip as well, down there to the southwest of Phoenix, way down near Gila Bend, actually, on that day. An epic haboob. And so I plan on making it back down season this year, actually. So I'm going to try to get some more debris plugs with flash flood guru and the expert David Rankin out there. He specializes in chasing those debris plugs and has a model that uses radar data superimposed on topographic maps to be able to time those big flash floods and debris plugs as they come down those dry washes. So I plan on being back out there for monsoon season this July, late July again.
What's the biggest blizzard you've ever faced?
I would say the biggest blizzard, and there were blizzard conditions during this event, but the biggest snowstorm by far was the lake effect snow emergency in 2014 that dumped 8 or 9 feet of snow on that town over the course of days, 2 to 3 days. And absolute overwhelming snow event, completely immobilized out there. Snowfall rates of 6 inches plus per hour, totally disabled the vehicle. And we actually had to abandon the vehicle. I dropped Maria and her producer. She was working at Fox at the time, and I dropped them off at the airport because they had to get back. And I went to Walmart and got a one-piece snowsuit because I left my gear in the hotel when we went out to do those live shots, and I had to get back to the Best Western in Lackawanna. So I put on this one-piece snowsuit that I got at Walmart and then walked 8 miles back to the hotel. And when I got into the hotel, laid down in the bed, I was all tired, took off the snowmobile suit, it was all sweaty, and then I got attacked by bed bugs. Thousands and thousands of bed bugs came in and just tore me apart.
No.
All different larvae to adult, just crawling around, leaving streaks of blood.
That's
And the base crevasse on that little skirt they put around the base of the bed, they were caked inside and that crazy event. And then I flipped out and told the hotel, and they gave me 3 dates and so they gave me the nights free there, even though I wasn't at the hotel. We abandoned it right as the lake effect snow emergency got started, but dogs were brutal, and the hotel person that was working the front desk was able to wash all my clothes and everything, and hopefully got all the eggs out of there. But anytime you stay in a hotel, be sure to check nasty little creatures.
Yeah.
So this question is from Spike WX on Twitter. Any advice for beginning storm chasers or beginning meteorologists?
Yeah, for beginning storm chasers, if you're just getting out into storm chasing, the key is to know what you're doing in terms of storm structure out there. There are a lot of tools online these days to watch video, and you can watch storm chasing videos online and learn the basics of storm structure without even going out there and storm chasing. So there are so many tools for weather enthusiasts out there that weren't available when I was just getting started in storm chasing. But the key is to definitely go do your first storm chases with someone that knows what they're doing and kind of learn the ropes out there when you're storm chasing, because not only can it save your life, but you'll learn a lot faster. And when I went out there, I was kind of stubborn and was focused on just doing it myself, and nearly got ourselves killed on the May 3rd, 1999 tornado, abandoning our geo tracker. And we ended up underneath an overpass on that day, getting covered by mud. And I think definitely the key is to be involved with your local National Weather Service office too. They have Skywarn training courses out there as well. And I think that getting involved, even as an intern at the National Weather Service local offices, are a very good activity as well to get started on storm chasing. But one thing I've noticed is that the younger people these days know more about storms and meteorology than many meteorologists know, and that's because there is so much information available online for people to learn independently these days.
This comes from That Storm Jeff. The best tornado you've ever chased?
Well, I have many that stand out as personal favorites, but probably the Pipestone, Manitoba tornado in 2007. That was a day when we just drove north and we weren't sure how big it was going to be up there in Canada. So, yeah, that was the pick here, guys.
Okay, any more questions?
My friends are asking. So
let's see. I don't have any more on here.
I got a couple. From Johnson WX, which is, you know him. He's the meme man, along with Storm Chaser Nick. He says, how well do you think you've done chasing this year? Are you proud of your chases? If not, why not? And how do you think you can perform better this year? How can chasing affect one's mental health? So it's basically like 3 questions in one. How do you think you've done this year? Are you proud of your chases? How do you think chasing can affect one's mental health?
I'm definitely proud of my storm chasing and the effort that I gave. And I did become one of the COVID long haulers. So I lost my sense of taste and smell for about 6 months, or maybe 5 months or so in there. It definitely came back in the last month or so. And definitely had a lot of fatigue that I wasn't even sure if it was I getting old or was it due to COVID long hauler this year. But I still was able to grind through and chase everything from the Mid-South to Tornado Alley to the High Plains. But I did miss a lot of tornadoes and made a lot of bad decisions that I normally wouldn't make, like the day in the Mid-South when I was on the Utah tornado a little bit too long, even though my plan was to drop south to the Greensboro, Alabama tornado as well. Just a little bit before that on the March 17 tornado, I should have been on the Gilbertstown tornado and just waited there for another 5 minutes and would have seen that. Out here in the High Plains, though, I kind of ran out of gas a little bit. I think I got a little bit tired and wasn't finishing the chases and I was trying to find a way to end the chase and to sleep and to rest a little bit. And I think that when you're trying to find a way to end the chase instead of finding different storms to chase, then that can definitely be a little bit of a drain as well. But overall, I'm definitely not very happy with how I did this year. But it's also not the first year that I've missed a lot of tornadoes. I think it just kind of comes with the territory when you're storm chasing. You can do everything right and try really hard and then miss a lot of tornadoes. And it's just, it can be kind of random and it can be kind of lucky in a way when you're chasing as well. I missed the Wynnewood tornado. A lot of that was due to logistics when I was trying to get married back then as well. And, missed quite a few other tornadoes, but I would like to have many of these chases back. But I think it's important as a storm chaser to always storm chase through the windshield and not the rear view mirror, or else you'll end up in a ditch if you storm chase through the rear view mirror too much. So you always got to look toward the next opportunity and not dwell too much on the tornadoes that you missed or the mistakes that you made. And it's also important to focus on the process too. When I'm out there chasing fast and nimble, then I'm happy. Even if I miss a tornado, if I feel like I chased well and forecasted well, then I'm usually happy with the process of storm chasing. I do a vehicle. Where I'm meeting people and or taking photos and everything. And I'm a bit of an introvert, believe it or not. So that could definitely can be a little bit solo as well, driving, navigating, uploading video, maintaining 3 different live streams as well. And so it definitely can be easy to run out of gas. So I think the key is just to eat a lot of fiber, eat a lot of fruits and vegetables out there, try to exercise as much as you can, eat a lot of bean burritos, and just enjoy the process, enjoy nature around you. Don't get too stressed out. Enjoy the people out there as well. And then you're going to have a great storm chasing experience.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Okay. Do y'all mind if I ask another question?
Sure.
Okay. Do one more.
And then
I've got
mirror.
I've got a couple more. What do you think that your life? What do you think you would do if you didn't get into meteorology? That's probably a question you get a lot.
No, that's actually not a question that I get too often. But I think I'd probably do something in the life sciences, maybe collecting insects, or I was also kind of interested in bioprocesses at the Event and Science Olympiad as well, genetics. Kind of something in the life sciences, but I like to be outdoors so much, and I like to witness extreme nature that I think I'd probably maybe become a forest ranger. I could see myself doing something like that as well, or maybe just return back to my insect collecting roots and become an entomologist. But I'm just thankful that storms and storm chasing are here, because it's my true deep down lifelong passion, and I'm just grateful to be able to live it every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's a good message right there. Okay. And this comes from a person on Discord. What is your experience in the Dakotas?
Chased many tornadoes out there, including the Manchester, South Dakota tornado 2003. So it's one of my favorite places to storm chase, up in the Dakotas, North Dakota, and South Dakota up there. We had an air cannon launch in Faith, South Dakota, there when we were shooting storm chasers in 2011. 2010, actually, was a Faith, South Dakota tornado. Bowdle, South Dakota was an incredible tornado. And a lot of times there are very large wedges up there, too, that are relatively slow moving. The natural terrain is incredibly beautiful as well. The Black Hills out there are beautiful. So it's definitely one of my favorite places to storm chase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anybody else have a question?
I've got one more. What
All right,
were the
guys.
highest? Oh,
After I have to cut you short because I got to take Gizmo out to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
all right. Well, this is the last question. This is the last question that my friends are asking, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
What are
that's
the
not-
high? Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Okay. What were the highest and lowest moments in your career?
Well, that's a tough question, because there's been a lot of ups and downs. They kind of just come one after another. And I always tell people that you can't have a ridge without a trough. So if you're going through a bad time, there's usually good times that are right around the corner coming up. And with storm chasing, you do have a lot of low points where you'll miss a lot of tornadoes in a row, and you'll see a lot of tornadoes in a row, and then you'll have high points as well. But I think my low point was probably there in 2013 when tornadovideos.net was collapsing. I went broke. I was audited there by the IRS too, and woke up to a $350,000 bill in the mailbox, and the homeowners association was suing us to try to get us out of the neighborhood there because I wasn't maintaining my lawn good enough, and Dominator 1 had broken down in the driveway, and we were launching fireworks at night as well. And so I would say when tornadovideos.net collapsed and I wasn't able to do science, and Storm Chasers was canceled, and I was burnt out too, doing the television show, and then the Dominator started breaking down, and then my friends started stealing all the cash out of our bank accounts. One of my friends tried to steal the Dominator and take it up to Canada because I had put it in his name during Storm Chasers to try to get an extra free vehicle. So I would say that was probably my down point. Probably when friends start kind of turning on you, and that was definitely the down point.
Okay, thank you, Reed Timmer, for coming on today.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much.
It's been awesome.
See ya.
Thank you so much.
All right, have a good day.
Hey, you guys, it's been a lot of future of storm chasing, so I look forward to seeing what you guys are capable of once you get out there in the field and in some years, once you figure out how to storm chase too. And I look forward to seeing you guys storm chase one day.
I'll be out
Thank you
there
so
in
much,
June once I get the cast off.
Great news.
See ya.
All right, see you, man.
All right.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Let's do it again. Stop chasing.
Never stop chasing.
Never stop chasing.